Good morning, and thank you for joining us this Saturday morning. My name is Alero Edu.
I'm Ayo Makine. Good morning and welcome.
Yes, something happened to me during the week which I want to start the program with. Just got to share this. I mean, minding my own business on the road, I get pulled over by the VIO and they tell me, they scroll through their phone and show me a photo of my car. This is your car, look at the plate number. I say, yes, it is. What's the problem? My papers are all complete. Oh, no. You defaulted in 2019 with your roadworthiness. It had expired for a few days before you renewed it. So you have a ticket pending from 2019 of 20,000 naira. I say, but I have a current roadworthiness. Well, it doesn't matter. So I say, so when I went to renew in 2020, why wasn't I told by your officials that I already had a ticket from the year before? Oh, it must have been a computer problem that I did not get the notification. I said, well, I'm hearing of this thing for the first time now. So are you going to impound my car? Oh, no, you got to pay 20,000.
Oh, you're not going to impound your car, but you have to pay 20,000. In other words, if you don't pay...
Well, they might have impounded my car.
I don't get it.
From 2019.
Exactly my point. So,
and I'm talking about something that happened 3 days ago.
And you have a phone number in the system, I'm sure. Your phone
Yes.
number is in the system.
Yes.
And no one told you...
Phone number, email address.
So they had to wait until they catch you on the road.
Yes. With a valid roadworthiness certificate, I might add. I had a valid one on me.
So did you pay?
Did I have a choice?
So you paid 20,000?
Yes, I did.
And I was asking you for 20,000 naira. You couldn't even be nice.
My dear, when people get in your way, when you have a focus, you really just get to get out of there. Because you don't want to be taken to their office and taken to this and taken to that.
But what if you don't? There are thousands.
That's why I'm sharing this.
Thousands of people who might not have been able to pay.
That's right. That's why I'm sharing this. So you all be very, very mindful of the fact that if your roadworthiness expires one day before you go fix it, they have the record of it. And if it takes them 3 years to run into your car, you're still going to pay that money.
My problem with that, Alero, would be, isn't that to say that someone is letting down their guards?
Well,
because I mean, okay, you asked, so how come I didn't know about it? It's a computer glitch. So it's not any human being's fault. No, it's a computer.
No, it's my fault that I didn't get it. What was in their head or in their computer in their office. As
I speak with you, I'm very sure that many people listening to us right now they have no idea that they have an expired roadworthiness certificate as I speak. In fact, some do not even know what month their vehicle license will expire, except those who have it stuck on the wall.
Well, they got to be very careful because according to Nigerians, they chook. Government is looking for money with all I
think it only speaks to the efficiency or a lack of it on the part of
definitely a lack of it on the VIS's part in this case, because this ticket has been in existence since 2019. I even take myself and the said car to their office to renew that which they say expired.
And no one
told me I had a ticket.
No one had the system. Okay, where was the system? The system was really, really faulty.
Yes, it didn't bring it up that I was owing.
It wasn't the fault.
So they should not have renewed it.
It wasn't the fault of the civil servant. It was the system.
It was the system. Okay, all right. Okay. Computer.
So maybe...
Computer, please behave yourself. I'm talking about they chook. Tolls are going to be reinstated. Driver's licenses have gone up 50%. Number plates have gone up 50%. I mean, talk of chook.
Oh, wait, I didn't send you that thing. I'm going to have to show it to you.
Talk of eye chicken.
So, you know, this is what you want to take a look at.
Okay.
It's quite detailed. But you see, while you're looking at that one, the issue you raised about the toll, well, the minister did try to explain as much as possible so that people know it is not something that is being done vindictively and all. But with the way the economy is and everyone is, I think people will definitely need a lot more education about it, about the process. And of course, he did say that it's not something that is beginning tomorrow, and that there was wide consultations with so many people, the communities, the primary communities, the road transport associations, and several others like that. I really don't know how we're going to be able to take that on board.
Driving license, 3 years, gone from 6,000 to 10,000, excluding bank charges. Driver's license for 5 years from 10 to 15,000. Motorcycle driving license for 3 years, gone from 3 to 5,000. So those of you who ride on Okada, be prepared for an upward review of...
After all, the balance will come from somewhere.
Fancy number plates. I wonder what those are.
Oh, I mean, you want to put Alero 1 on your number plate.
Those have gone from 80,000 to 200. I mean, it's more than 100. Well, if you want to carry your name on your...
Yeah.
Then you should pay for it.
Alero 1.
No, I agree. On that one, I agree. I agree on that
one. But you know what's interesting? I have not been able to. So many things we have to deal with every day. So the Federal Road Safety Commission, of course, said it's not from them. But right now, until now, I've not been able to really find out who, really let out that information to the people.
Well, the news item said government says.
That faceless government.
It's government that says.
Which MD?
The thing is that it doesn't matter who said it. The important thing is that now if you go try and get a driver's license, this is what you're going to be charged.
Has it taken off? Okay, just go dig. I guess that's what the issue is.
They say I is chicken.
Especially at a time when doctors are on strike.
Oh, this doctor strike is so painful. It's so painful. I mean, like that doctor guest you had on Daily yesterday said, no work, no pay. How about no pay, no work? They've already done some work and they haven't been paid for it. So threatening them with no work, no pay doesn't really mean much to them, does it? And the most painful thing that the doctor made allusion to was the fact that doctors in Nigeria, with all the training they have had, cannot treat their own president. Their president is sick and he has to go, even if it's just for checkup. Okay, he's not ill, he had to go for a checkup. And what went through my mind at that point was, I'm sure on the team of doctors going to look after him wherever it is he's gone to, will be a Nigerian or two.
Part of what Dr. Onabolele said. He's a former NBA president. He said, look, if as a medical practitioner, as a doctor in Nigeria, I am not celebrated, maybe when I go out of Nigeria, I will be celebrated, I will be headhunted. And it's a sad reality because that's what many people actually do. You're working in Nigeria, you're not recognized, no one sees you, no one notices you until you come from abroad. And as a Nigerian, I mean, many of the people that the former president Obasanjo, put in his cabinet, many of them had to be headhunted from outside Nigeria. Yeah. Is that to say that the Nigerians in Nigeria do not have what it takes? It's the same Nigerians, isn't it?
It doesn't say they don't have what it takes. It just says that they're not appreciated. It's the same people who go there and excel. And when you go, you're still treated by a Nigerian. How does that make you feel? You've come all this way to come and... There are many of them here. So why don't you just sit at home and consult them here? Bon, as they say, bref. What are we going to be looking at this morning?
The menu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first course, our eyes will be on the healthcare system.
Yeah. The healthcare system. That was one of those things that the doctor said yesterday about clinical governance. I didn't even know there was such a thing. So maybe we'll take a look at that one as well. And of course, we'll be talking about the latest climate change report.
Ooh.
Many don't even understand what that means, but we'll get some interesting perspectives this morning.
We'll have a lot to say about climate change, all the phenomenons, or is it phenomena, happening all over the world, fires, floods. Floods like hasn't been seen in some places over 100 years.
And you know, also to add to the fact that the way part of what they will tell you about climate change in that report, I hope we'll get more understanding from our people, is that the water level is rising, and that is what is responsible for the floods. Okay. But
and the world is getting hotter.
The world is getting hotter than since the 1800s or thereabouts.
I can identify with that because when we were growing up in Hamilton, you shut all the doors, shut all the windows, and you slept under a blanket.
That's in Lagos?
In Lagos. Now I don't think my children know what a blanket looks like.
Let me make it worse. I had reason to go to Kano in November, December of 1988. Alero, I had no place to stay one particular night. I was this close to being
frozen. Not anymore. I mean, in those parts, some houses actually have fires in certain times of the year, but I don't think they need those fires anymore. Yes, after the climate change conversation, we're going to talk about Ebonyi infrastructure development.
And of course, there is the Junior Achievement Nigerian project. You want to find out what that is.
And then we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment, as is usual. And all I can tell you is that he's a he.
A human being.
A he.
A human being.
Yes. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
But it's a very interesting he as well. So you'd best...
Have you ever had an uninteresting he? I'm just wondering.
Well, sometimes you have some who are not an interviewer's delight, who
well.
answer you in monosyllables. But please, you can be part of the program, you know, via your emails. Well, we don't have Twitter anymore, unfortunately.
For now, until the government lifts it, they say that
they say there's talk in that direction.
Closer to the end, according to the minister.
Great.
A matter of days, he said.
So make yourself comfortable and join us on this ride for the next almost 3 hours. See you in just a bit. Thank you for joining us this morning. Many have described the Nigerian healthcare system as an eyesore, mainly as a result of insufficient budget allocation to the sector, strikes, and migration of doctors to developed countries because of better remuneration and better conditions of service. Today, we will take a look at the health sector, the current challenges, the prospects, and the way forward. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Titus Ibekwe, Professor of Otorhinolaryngology.
Well, you just exactly. I'm sure
he's laughing at us. He's laughing at us.
Help out.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, Prof. How are you doing? Professor, there you are. So help us out, Professor.
Otorhinolaryngology.
Otorhinolaryngology. Did I get it right?
Brilliant. That's correct.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you with us. Now, you have heard how I have described our healthcare system, and they have said that, in fact, we are among the world's worst places to live, and life expectancy in this country is getting from bad to worse. Oh, all of this is heartbreaking to the Nigerian. But some of it, sadly, is true. Or what are your thoughts?
It's a very unfortunate situation. I'll tell you that you gave a vivid description of what the reality is, truth be told. The healthcare system in Nigeria is bleeding and almost bleeding to death. That's the reality. Despite the fact that we have very quality health professionals in the country, although the number is abysmal compared to what is needed. You will take a look at world standard because it takes two to tango. Every country that made progress that is regarded as a reference point world over today sits on a she. I usually refer to this aphorism most of the time. Security, health, and education. These are like the tripod that drives development in every country. And health is like the soul of this she, because the entire citizen and the entire system must be healthy to be able to drive good and productive economy. Education is needed so that you even spend less on health. When people get to know the basic things, tenets of life that they need to do, including preventative medicine. The citizen need to be secured in order to be productive. If you look at the world standard, the minimum expected to be ascribed to education is about 26%, according to UNESCO, of your budget. What we have today in Nigeria, at least for this year's budget, is about 6.4%. Health, minimum, as agreed here in Abuja Charter in 2020, 15% of your budget for you to be able to get a portable and serviceable healthcare system. What do we have today? 4.5%. Do you know that if we sum these two together, it's below 11%, which is less than what is expected of health alone to be able to get a serviceable healthcare system. And of course, you talk of security. You and I are witnesses to the problem that the country is suffering. So the description and the painting you gave is a vivid color of what the actuality is in the country today.
Oh dear, that's so sad. Well, we've since been joined by Dr. Ifeinwa Nwakwesi, who's an integrative medicine expert. Good morning, Dr. Nwakwesi.
Good morning. Is that Alero?
Yes, it is, Ifeinwa. How are you today?
Alero, so good to see you.
You're welcome.
You look amazing.
Thank you. In the meantime, did you listen to what Professor Ibekwe said?
Yes, I listened a bit.
Good. I want to take you back a bit. All of this that we're talking about and that he has spoken about has happened in a country where patients used to come from all over Africa to the University College Hospital in Ibadan, UCH, as well as the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. How did we arrive at this pass that we can't even provide for our own, let alone Africa and West Africa and Africa at large?
Okay, Alero, I'm right now practicing integrative medicine. I graduated from University of Ibadan in 1979 with an MBBS. My passion at that time was to be a pediatrician. But along my path in life, I started having all kinds of negative effects of stress. I was not proactive about my health. I'm going to answer your question from a deep perspective, from the root cause of the issue. Alero, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said, let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. Thomas Edison said, the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, improper diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. The issue with our healthcare crisis is not in the number of hospitals we have or we don't have, or the fact that we don't have enough medical drugs in the centers. The issue is that we are over-relying on the curative medical system. We are not teaching people the principles that keep people healthy. We should go back to the basics of prevention is better than cure. We should also teach people that their health is primarily their responsibility and not the responsibility of the medical doctors. The doctors are there for crisis management, for intervention when it's absolutely necessary. But your health is primarily your lifestyle. When we begin to do that in this country, and what I'm telling everyone is the leadership of the country should, as a matter of urgency, include integrative medicine, functional medicine, holistic medicine, natural lifestyle choices, lifestyle medicine into our healthcare paradigm as a matter of urgency.
Okay.
Because look at the number of people that are dropping dead. Look at the number of people that are suffering from chronic preventable diseases. Alero, most of those diseases that people are suffering from are preventable. I am a living example. I turned 68 this May, 2 years to 70. And most of my illnesses I was having when I was younger have all reversed because I've chosen the path to wellness. So my answer to this question would be, let us change our healthcare paradigm. The issue is not the hospitals, the centers. We need to teach people healthy life choices. And people have got to realize that they have a responsibility to take care of their health.
But if anyone, do we not find ourselves in a catch-22 situation? You say that we should learn prevention more than anything else. We've been learning that since we were little. Eat balanced diet, do this, do that. But the Nigerian can hardly eat, let alone a balanced diet. We have found ourselves in this pass where, I mean, that's just the situation in our country now. One tomato is about, 50 naira? And you say I should eat a balanced diet? How can I afford fruits? One pineapple is 600 naira. And our population is growing by the minute.
Well, Alero, that is part of our leadership crisis in this country. And again, people have got to realize that everything we need in our lives, God has given it to us. They are in our brains. Do you know how people can actually grow their food around their homes? Do you know how people can actually harness plants that are all over us and help to improve your diet? But everybody wants to eat cooked food, cooked starches, cooked proteins on a daily basis. Our ancestors, they didn't have all the privileges we have today. But I can tell you they were a lot healthier than us. They stayed close to nature. Even people in the rural areas are not exposed to the sort of toxic overload that we in the urban areas are. So they tend to even be stronger than us. They walk a lot. Many of us, they're like, let me tell you something, Alero. This is a question of finding your choices. Do you know that all the shoes we're wearing every day is causing problems to our health? Our ancestors used to walk barefooted and they connected to the source energy. They used to also stay in the sun. Their vitamin D levels were very good. But of course, many of us, we have this urban lifestyle. We live mostly in our air-conditioned houses. We drive air-conditioned cars. And so many of us are detaching ourselves from nature. Let me tell you something. Everyone can begin to help themselves. Even before we change our leadership, we can get a good leadership. What I'm saying is, there's no need complaining. What can you do? What can you plant? God has given us a lot of seeds that can help us to stay healthy. Can I get interested in some form of agriculture around where I live so I can begin to grow some greens, some vegetables that I can turn into juice or even eat and improve my health.
Okay.
I understand what you're trying to say. Leadership has a role there. We need to get a good leadership that is sensitive to the people so that it can create an enabling environment that can help young people and a lot of people to thrive.
After all,
Back to the land.
yes. Essentially, what I understand Dr. Wakos is saying is that we should shorten the distance between the farm and the table. So, Dr. Bikwe, that opinion of shortening the space between the farm and the table doesn't take away the responsibility of a healthcare system. She's talked about our penchant for curative interventions as opposed to preventive interventions. In what way does that help or take away from the responsibility of us having a healthcare system that is reliable?
Yeah, thank you very much. She has spoken very well. A holistic medicine is an integrated medical services. Recall that I mentioned preventative medicine, that is very important. And of course, this is not cheap on its own. You need a good enlightenment program. You need a good educational system so that people will understand and be literate enough to flow with you, to flow with the ideas that you're trying to sell across to them. So whereas all these things are at ground zero, it becomes very difficult. And I'll little raise a very key point there. People who are struggling to see what to eat, it becomes so difficult for you to be able to tell them the ones that are healthy and the ones that are not healthy to eat. But lifestyle, moving forward, is very important. In keeping one healthy. It's very important, and we cannot do away with this. Equally, the curative medicine is up there. It's a top notch because you must treat those who are sick. People must be getting sick every day, irrespective of the healthcare system, that transformational system that they have adopted. The only thing is that preventative medicine will help us reduce the burden that is on our medical services. But of course, there are basic fundamentals that must be met before you start talking of getting a serviceable healthcare system. And that's what my introductory speech was trying to address. So you cannot build something on nothing. You must invest before you expect some returns. You know, this is an aphorism that is as reality as day and night. So we must look inwards to be able to, ameliorate what have gone wrong into our healthcare system. Initially in your discourse I was watching before this program commenced, you talked about what is happening today, how the few medical personnel we have, a lot of them are being forced to leave the shores and are moving in their droves. Countries out there are attracting them on a daily basis, enticing them with basic things that they need. And they are living. I'm also a trainer. I am losing my trainees on a daily basis. That is the reality. It's not just only medical doctors, it's across all the medical personnel that we have in the hospital, the nurses, the pharmacists. This is happening. And we're all worried. Coupled with the strikes going on right now, and look at the disease burden in the country and the world and even countries around us. Ebola is knocking, several diseases are being, coming up again, emerging and re-emerging diseases, okay? We're talking of Marburg now, which is almost the same thing with Ebola. It has all the features in West African shores. Of course, COVID-19 is still there, ravaging the world. This is the time to look inwards and escalate our system, because the reality, as I said, is that we have the best medical personnel. If you leave these shores, the best of the hospitals and the best of the treatment centers, you will see Nigerians there performing.
Well, Doc, permit me to butt in for a second. Yeah, just a second, Doc. Permit me to butt in and ask. Perhaps there is a need for us to even understand what the components of a healthcare, of a viable, virile healthcare system should be. You've harped on the personnel and the specialties in the sector. Is that all? What are the other components of a viable, strong, and efficient healthcare system? Maybe we don't know.
Oh, my brother, thank you very much. This is a fundamental question you have also raised. You know, number one, the personnel is very important. The facilities that you have, which these personnel are going to work with, very, very important. The healthcare financing system, extremely important. When you talk of a functional insurance system, because the thing is that out-of-pocket expenses is no longer functional. It's not serviceable. It's not what is reliable upon. You know, you need all this. And you make sure that every strata of the medical system, both those who are taking care of the curative, those who are taking care of the preventative, and in fact, all the faculties, okay? Not just medicine as it is, pharmacy, you know, laboratory, and all those are up to, you know, the minimal standard that is expected to be able to be functional. And I say that you need to invest for you to be able to expect returns. I've already narrated that here in Abuja, all the African leaders come together. It's a scientific, scientific sieving that they come out with this, that you need minimum of 15% investment of your budget system, you know, to be able to get this functional healthcare system we're talking about. So it is not rocket science. It's to make sure that every faculty of this healthcare system works. Once this happens, then you'll be able to get a serviceable healthcare system.
If Professor Ibekwe mentioned a viable health insurance scheme. And I was just thinking, yeah, we have NHIS in Nigeria. Yeah, I know we have one. But how effective is it?
The insurance scheme in Nigeria is not as effective as it should be. But my focus is we need to help people to stay away from hospitals. Listen to my conversation here. The insurance scheme is put in place mostly for people that are ill. It could help a lot of poor people to achieve wellness in that regard. But if we really, really want to have our healthcare crisis resolved, Alero, this is what I'm saying. Many people that are going to hospital are going there primarily because of a compromised immune system. Look at the COVID pandemic. Look at the sort of chronic diseases we're having in the society. And there are simple lifestyle things you can do to strengthen your immune system. Keep your immune system in a very vibrant area. Are you aware, Alero, that many of us, as we're walking around, we have cancer cells in our bodies? It is only when your immune system is compromised, then the cancer cells can grow and turn into a tumor. It could be benign, it could be malignant. What I am trying to say here is the insurance scheme would help us to help a lot more people to get medical care. But the best insurance that we can put into this our healthcare system, and I'll keep talking about it, is the insurance of teaching people how to prevent these chronic diseases that are sending people to early graves, sending people to hospitals. Now, let me ask you a question.
My apologies. On that one, madam, just a second, if you don't mind me butting in.
High blood pressure.
Madam, just 1 second.
They check the high blood pressure. And
if you can hear me, Dr. Nwakwesi. Just 1 second, please. Yeah. You talked about us doing everything, teaching people to be able to prevent some of these things from happening. And I agree with you. But there are some things that are outside, out of the purview of the people. For instance, there is a current cholera outbreak. And what's the cause of it? Waterborne disease. We all know what it is. And we all know it is completely preventable. You would agree with that, definitely. But there are some things that are out of the purview of the people. For instance, how do they get water if the water is not pipe-borne? They have to go to the river. How do we help people to do that? I mean, we know what the poverty figures are. We know the challenges that people have at their various localities. So in that regard, for instance, people will go to hospital when they fall sick because they couldn't have prevented it anyway, because they didn't have pipe-borne water.
That is what I am talking about, that we need to deal with our healthcare crisis from the roots. The leadership is responsible for a healthy citizenry. And water is such a critical thing for the human body. Do you know that a lot of people are walking around with dehydrated cells? And it's actually making a lot of people sick. Many of the high blood pressure cases, many of the headaches and weakened immune system is probably due to dehydration in the cells. That's a topic for another day. What I'm trying to say here, we need to sit together and map out a strategy to revamp completely our healthcare crisis. Our healthcare system. The focus on curative medicine as the solution for now is not going to get us there. What I'm saying, I was actually trying to make a conversation. I said, if a man has high blood pressure and you give him a medication, and he's going to be on the medication for the rest of his life, are you aware that it could be possibly a relationship or marital issue that is giving him the high BP? It's also a possibility of there's no money in his pocket, financial lack. So why don't we sit with people and discuss through the root cause of their issues? Our medical doctors are bombarded. I don't expect them to have time to be doing all that. But there needs to be another system added to the healthcare crisis where there are counselors, healthcare coaches. All the nurses in Nigeria should learn simple healthcare coaching. All the healthcare professionals should learn online healthcare coaching so they can have it to add to the curative medicine that's given to people. Little counseling, talking through somebody, with somebody to get to the root of their problem is probably going to help them to stay away from medications. And
if
all those medications, yes.
You have brought a completely new dimension into this discussion. Counseling, psychologists in Nigeria? No. I'm going for counseling. People will look at you like, oh, he's going to see a shrink. The man don't craze. That's a new dimension altogether.
Alero, we have churches. A lot of people go to the churches. It's all about praying and reading the Bible. What about teaching them lifestyle in the churches? What about teaching them relationship and marital counseling in churches? These are some of the things we need to include. I know what I'm talking about, Alero. Alero, just focusing on curative care is not going to get us there. And I do have a strategy. If I can get access to leadership, I know what I can tell them and what I can put together, and this country will begin to experience a different kind of wellness.
But you are aware, Ife, that more people are now aware of the value of exercise, and more Nigerians are exercising. And I mean exercising even into old age. If you think back, our parents didn't exercise at all. They went to work, came back, ate, slept. That was the end of the day. But now, even older people know that they have to do something about getting some form of, even if it's just walking, because they have seen the value of it. Don't you agree?
Now, let me ask you, what sort of exercise are we doing?
Walking.
People go to the gym, they go and they over-exceed their heart rate on a regular basis. People go to the gym, they do 3 hours. Oh, I must lose weight immediately. I must get all the fitness. Alero, health and fitness is not the same thing. You can be achieving fitness in compromise to your health. And you can be achieving health in compromise to your fitness. So there needs to be a balance. That's why I'm talking about massive education of the citizenry. Massive. Because so many people that are trying to do things to get health are actually jeopardizing their health on a daily basis. Oh dear. Fitness is very good, but sometimes people over-exercise and they don't even know what they're doing. And so I'm going to give a simple advice to a lot of people. Do not over-exceed your target heart rate as you exercise. It is 180 minus your age. If you subtract 180 from your age, you should try and stay within that sort of target heart rate. Now, how do people know their heart rate? It's the pulse. How many people can afford a pulse meter? So The trick is don't exercise and you begin to pant. When you begin to pant all the time during exercise, it's quite risky for you. That's why someone like Jim Okwaji dropped dead in the football field. That's my conversation here.
Many older people are not exercising for fitness. They're exercising to stay healthy. So that conversation about fitness and staying 3 hours in the gym, that will be had with the younger people who want to have six-pack and who want to have bulky arms and all that. I mean, I go for walks like 3-4 times a week. I'm not walking because I want a flat stomach. I'm walking because I want to stay healthy.
Yes, Alero, I can even see that you're doing a lot of healthy life choices because you look so good. You know, I used to know you really, really looking amazing. So these things, they work. When you do it, when I see people, I know whether they are actually revitalized or whether they are struggling. And let me tell you something about health. Health actually shows on the face. It shows externally. It shows on the eyes. It shows on the skin. It shows on the color of the body. And there's so many telltale signs. And as I walk around, I see a lot of Nigerians that are looking unhealthy. They are not sick as to go and see a medical doctor. But let me tell you something, Alero. Years before a disease sets in, there are usually multiple organ dysfunctions in people's body, a lot of clogging of the vessels, a lot of digestive issues, a lot of liver fat. These things are usually may not be picked up in the conventional medical world. So the thing about it is to do more of preventive medicine, dealing with the root cause of illnesses before they become full-blown. If they do get full-blown, consult a medical doctor and take the medications. But I don't support leaving people on medication for the rest of their lives. There are ways, there are natural alternatives that I can recommend.
All right. Well, Dr. Bekwe, this conversation, has to come. I mean, it's primarily perhaps about policy. So the question that I want to ask you, I mean, you've been in the health policy space for a while, Prof, and you have been vice president of NMA. So all these things are not unknown to you. In terms of policy, what should be, in your opinion, our focus right now as a people, especially when even if we are to consider tinkering with our healthcare apparatus in the country? You'll remember that the chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 had said last year that he didn't know we had such a bad healthcare system in our hands. And you've talked about some of the components. So in terms of policy focus, what would you recommend that we should be looking at? And how should we be going about it?
Yeah, you see, we have everything being spoken here today, and in the past, they are down there on paper. The problem is implementation, because already the healthcare system is a holistic care, and that is the definition worldwide. It's not just absence of disease alone. Psychological well-being is part of it. Mental well-being is part of it. So we need a holistic system. We have the primary, we have the tertiary, we have secondary, primary, secondary, tertiary healthcare system in the country. Making sure that these three arms function well is going to give us a healthy healthcare system, a functional healthcare system. Primary healthcare system takes care of basically what my sister is talking over there, which is very important. It's like fundamental. You must invest massively into the primary healthcare system. You mobilize people who will be able to, take down the necessary information down to every nook and crannies, including our hinterlands, to our people. Then people will definitely get sick. So the secondary healthcare system, the tertiary healthcare system will take care of those who are sick. So our going back to the drawing board, our having this spirit of implementation, of keeping to all that I've agreed. You agree with me that we have experts. You put them together, they bring the best policies. They are all there. Most of them are gathering dust. So if you ask me, the single most important thing is ability to, face the reality and focus on implementation of these already formulated policies.
But
it's not
Prof,
new policies that are really our problem in
But
the
Prof,
country today.
one of the challenges that
implementation.
government, just 1 second, Prof, one of the challenges that government would probably tell you, because we interviewed the Minister of State for Health once before, and he spoke around the fact that one of the main challenges they have is funding. Even the budget, that we have is less than 5% to the health, to health. So how do we deal with these things? That's why I was asking for a priority focus.
Brilliant question. Prioritization is the way to go. Even in developed countries, they will never have enough. But when you prioritize, when you plan for your populace, for your country, for people, your citizens, you plan for them adequately, you will get results. I have just given instance of minimum percentages. When we talk of percentages, remember you have a pool, but you now want to divide this into the various sectors. Okay, so that prioritization is very important. We have never for once come close to 10% of our budgets on healthcare system. And don't forget, even the below 10% that we've consistently budgeted for, most of the time is envelope system. A lot of them will not be implemented before the year runs out. So that is the problem. It's not as if we don't know this. About 26% should be allocated to education, 15% to health, of whatever thing that we have. And we make sure that we follow this judiciously and make sure that it's well implemented down to letters. Then we'll start getting results. But
we've got to bring this discussion to a close now, Professor.
That we need to be able to move forward.
We've got to bring, Professor, I'm sorry, Professor. I'm sorry, Prof. We need to bring this discussion to a close now. So your final word in half a sentence.
Thank you. My final words. We should focus on security, health, and education, and make sure that what is supposed to be allotted to this system is done. And we'll start getting results.
Okay. Dr. Nwakwese, your final word?
My final word is that health is your spiritual well-being, your mental and emotional well-being, and your physical well-being. People should constantly and continuously improve all those areas. Appropriate the spiritual energy in our bodies given to us by God. Secondly, medical doctors have got to do online training. Doctors should not stop learning. In Europe and America, there are doctors that are knowledgeable about conventional medicine and integrative and functional medicine. We need our medical doctors.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Ifeanyi Nwakwese, integrative medicine expert, as well as Professor Titus Ibekwe, professor of otorhinolaryngology, ENT health policy, former vice president, Nigerian Medical Association. Thank you very much for coming to share your thoughts with us this morning. Sunrise will continue in just a moment with another interesting conversation. Please stay with us.
Just what do you understand by all of that? I mean, let's begin from there. When you hear climate change, the world is getting warmer, what does it mean to you? I mean, many people don't really understand these things.
Well, if they watch that clip, they'll begin to understand.
It's one thing to see. It's another thing, okay, so what's this got to do with me? How does this affect me?
Well, those were people's houses.
Yes. It's flood.
So it could be your house.
It's flood.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is that how is that climate change? What's the climate that is changing?
What is causing this kind of flood that they say we haven't seen in over 1,000 years?
Those are the issues. You talk for a living. So Let's speak with those who have been at this for a while. Let's do ladies first, as I usually like to do. Ibirunke Olubamiche is National Coordinator, Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
We also have Ambassador Ayo Olukomi, who is DG Nasima, but he is former acting permanent representative to the United Nations Environment Program. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we also have Solomon Adefolu, who is lead climate change program, Nigeria Conservation Foundation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Madam, you heard what I said first. To many people, climate change is just one of those things they say. And to a large extent, many, I dare say, don't even understand what it means. Do you think we're even ebbing towards educating people or along the line of what climate change really means?
Thank you very much again for having me. And I will just start by saying, from where you ended about education, I think we need to do more. There's so much that needs to be done to educate people. But what I used to tell people is that you don't even need scientific proof now to know that the environment is changing.
Yeah.
Gone were the days when, there was a time in one of the offices where I worked, you see the pictures of Lagos State in the 60s, Lagos State in the 50s, and you see trees all over, you see all the good green scenery and all that. But they're no longer there. Then, of course, we know that the carbon dioxide that we breathe out is what the plants take in. The trees are no longer there. There are places in the communities you go to before, you just sit under the tree and you enjoy the ambience of that environment. They are no longer there. Now you go out, before, even in your house, you keep on fanning yourself and looking for all that. These are all signs of the changing climate.
I can imagine someone saying,
These are exactly.
Sometimes a number of people would probably tell you no. It's either,
remote control.
The devil is taking these things are spiritual. We don't have anything, and then in some cases they will say it is because government is not doing what it's supposed to do.
The enemy is at work.
What are they? Yes, the enemy is at work. So that's why I'm talking about that education,
Yes,
because
exactly.
These things are is the enemies. The flood. Hey, we've been working all year round, and the flood came and carted away all of our harvest. It's the enemy. It is not them.
Okay, I will address it also from the issue of the enemy, because even in the Bible that I believe in, the Bible says keep it. God says keep it and tend it. He did not say keep it and destroy it. That's what he said in the book of Genesis. So if he says keep it and tend it, are we keeping it and tending it? The traditional belief of people is that if I cut down trees, the natural resources are infinite. They won't finish. I will just go and collect and collect and collect. But now we know that it's no longer the case. So people just, like you said, and I agree with you, people just need, I know that many people know. Number one is that, do they think really deep to what is causing this? Or are they really giving themselves out to find out what is causing this and then knowing what can I do on my path to do something about it?
Okay.
Well, with regards to government, we know that we have experts who are working with government and who know what to do. But do we have the political will to be able to do what is necessary for us?
This political will again.
Okay, Solomon, in days gone by, we thought that these things were happening to us because we were not doing enough. Not enough education, not enough awareness. But even in other climes where they've been talking about climate change and there is increased awareness of it, we also see all kinds of things happening. We see floods in Germany like they have not seen in hundreds of years. We see fires in the United States of America. So, what are we blaming ourselves for?
Okay, thank you very much. The very good question, and I think we need to look at it from going back into the IPCC report. This is a United Nations working group that addresses what is the state of climate change in the entire world. You mentioned the world, and the way the climate system works, it works all around the world, not only in Nigeria, not only in Europe, not only, so whatever happens in Nigeria also impact or destroy whatever happens outside of Nigeria. So since it is the same climate change space that we're working with. So what I want to say is that the real cause of this is the greenhouse gas emission. And like she mentioned, the CO2 level is increasing. It's increasing day by day because of human-induced activity, human action that we know and that we have consistently failed to reduce.
Mr. Adefolu, you know, the last time I was in chemistry class was many years ago. So kindly
break it down.
Yes. So she did that actually. And
CO2.
Okay, carbon dioxide.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So that's where you want me to go to. So the carbon dioxide is increasing daily, and we are not working to reduce this.
The last I heard, I understand. I breathe in oxygen. I breathe out
Carbon dioxide.
That carbon dioxide.
Yes.
So I should stop breathing?
No, it's not about you. Stop.
I'm trying to, so that we can really get people to understand. Many people, I mean, Ambassador would agree with me, are in top positions, well educated and all of that. But all these things, this is very Latin.
Yeah.
Okay, so in simple terms, the chief cause of climate change is the greenhouse gas emission that is in the atmosphere. And the chief of
No, relax, please. Greenhouse emissions.
Yes.
Break it down.
Okay.
Don't break the glass, though.
Okay, these are gases that are within the atmosphere that are warming and keeping us to be warm.
Okay.
Yes. And these gases are either negative or positive. They do positive things or negative things. In the terms of positivity, these gases are really available everywhere, and they are also helping to kind of normalize the warming that is happening within the atmosphere. However, because if these gases are not there, the atmosphere will be so cold. The earth will be so cold. In fact, in about minus 18 degrees Celsius. That is how cold we're going to be. So, but what these gases are doing for us is to help us to keep warm on this earth.
I'm sorry, there are so many issues to look at and so little time. Okay. Ambassador, is there any way, since you were permanent representative to the United Nations on Environment Program, is there any way in which we as a people, through government, have let down our guards? Especially, I'm talking about Nigeria now. I know it's a global phenomenon, but is there anything we could have done better that we were doing and we stopped doing?
Well, thank you very much, and it's nice to be here again. First, let me say that the entire discussion we're having is within the framework of the UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And why do we have what has happened? Why do we have this initiative as far as the entire international community is concerned? Science has helped us. People went to outer space and saw our world from outer space, and so changes were taking place. So the international community got together and said, we must do something about it. And then there were documentary evidences of disasters, which was traced to that. And that was why we will now have the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is the framework convention. So it's not only just Nigeria that is at fault, it's the entire human race. And that was why we all went to the United Nations. I served in New York at the UN, and I was there when the first report of the World Commission on Environment and Development was presented. And then subsequently we went to Rio for the Rio Earth Summit, where that convention came. So it's everybody, the entire human race, everybody. And that's why we set up this convention, as well as the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that comes out with this report until this report of Code Red now say, hey, all of us, the entire human race, we are dropping the ball. There is disaster ahead. Let us do something. I think it is. And we don't need to go far away. You saw the flood in Germany. Germany, right up there, the German economy, which is the train for Europe.
Yeah.
We saw fires. I served as High Commissioner in Australia in the past, before this assignment. You saw the fire all over the place. You saw fire in Turkey, you saw fire in Greece, you saw fire in Tunisia, all over the place. These are clear documentary evidence that all of us across the world are at fault. We must do something. And of course, at home in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Now I come from the perspective of the business, because I serve as DG Nasima. We now also have the Chambers Coalition on Climate itself. But don't forget that from the beginning, when the discussion was on, the businesses were invited, because the issue which Solomon raised, as well as GSG, as well as Mrs. Alabamiche also raised, largely comes from the production pattern. How business, what kind of things businesses are doing that leads up to pollution. So that's why business is very important in this particular area. And at the beginning, when the convention itself was adopted, the businesses were part of the discussion. Please come up with a more sustainable development pattern of production to reduce the gas which you spoke about. And that's why, of course, at the national level, if we now come down, and that's why the businesses themselves, as the chambers of commerce, the respective businesses in our country, of course, are now part and parcel of that discussion in terms of how can they. But the most important thing is how to assist businesses to be involved in a production pattern that will be sustainable, that will reduce.
What then is the job of government? Isn't government supposed to find a way to compel businesses to do the needful?
Well, yes, government, of course, provides the general framework in terms of policy, normative issues, laws and regulations. Take, for example, now, if you want to start a factory, now you have to go and get an environmental impact assessment before you can start. What it means that, okay, I want to start producing pure water, or I want to start producing bottles, I want to start producing this. Before I am given the permission, or I want to set up a refinery to be able to produce, the prices of petroleum can be, affordable to the pocket. I have to go and get an environmental impact assessment report, approval. So that is one
Does
thing.
it happen? Do all businesses get it? That's another thing.
If you look at the newspapers, generally, people will say that I want to do this, this is the environmental impact, this is what I want to do. So members of the public are supposed to come. And of course, compulsorily, you must get it before you set up the factory.
Ambassador, I still have questions around whether or not, but let's just bring in Mr. Majakodume very quickly. Desmond Majakodume is founder Lufasi Park. He also joins in this conversation. Thanks for joining us this morning. You are what Alera will call environment ambassador in Nigeria. I'm just trying for us to even understand the basics, the nitty-gritties of these things. From your experience over the years, do you think we are making progress in terms of letting people know exactly what we're dealing with here?
Not at all. Not at all. And that's why the Secretary General of the United Nations himself said when this report came out that he's declaring Code Red. In diplomatic terms, that means you are almost at a state of war. He said that this is an emergency. And one of the most salient factors that emanated from that report was that no matter what we do now, the oceans will rise by 0.5 meter within the next 10 to 20 years. As the ambassador in the studio rightly pointed out, because of the space technology available, we have been able to measure very, very accurately what is going on with our climate, what is going on with the environment, and it is alarming the United Nations International Panel for Climate Change because their last report did not anticipate that the damage would be coming on this quickly. We are on the brink of a disaster. Secretary General United Nations said in December that mankind is waging war against nature, and this is suicidal.
Okay.
That's the wording that they use, because nature fights back, and that's exactly what she's doing. But the reality is, our problem is not so much the climate change. That's a manifestation. Our problem is not so much the pollution, which is what is causing the climate change. Millions and millions of tons of toxic gases going into the atmosphere, which we've known are deadly, which we've known are upsetting the wonderful systems of the atmosphere that makes this earth livable. That's not the real problem. The problem is us, our greed, our selfishness. We've known that this poison is going to do bad things. We know it's even killing people. It's killed more people than COVID in 1 year. And over the last years, it's been killing. But we continued and continued because we were being driven relentlessly by putting profit over people and planet.
Well, Mr. Majakudumi, let's begin to look forward, because, I mean, as I said, we really don't have much time on this conversation. Decrypt it. I mean, you've talked about the United Nations and you've talked about our greed and all of that. How does the average Nigerian contribute to this problem? So we know, and then we might be able to do something about it.
Thank you very, very, very much. Well, luckily, we have a democratic system. We need to have adaptation. Hundreds and hundreds of billions of naira now need to be deployed to the coastal area of Nigeria to protect places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, etc., from being flooded because the seas are rising. Also, this Green Wall program that is putting hundreds of millions of trees. Look, last year, our president promised to the United Nations that Nigeria would plant 25 million trees. We've only planted 5 million. So we need to demand from the civil servants, do your job. You're servants to the civilian society. Serve us more effectively. Do your job. Deploy fantastic amounts of money to re-greening. Greening. Trees will help. Everybody should get a little bit of green in their compound, even if it's just in one little bottle. Green. Shebi, that's the color of our flag. Green will help solve the problem.
Okay.
And Alero, don't worry about blanket in Harmattan anymore. Forget that one.
It's gone forever. When Babatunde Fashola was governor in Lagos State,
Wow.
I'm sure you were aware that his nickname was Baba Flower. And not a lot of Nigerians were endeared to him because of his plant a tree policy, making Lagos green. But that policy seems to have been jettisoned. So you spoke specifically about Lagos State earlier, which is why I'm taking you back to Lagos State. How much greenery do you see in Lagos? Because he spoke about greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide and where we get the oxygen that we breathe in from, which is what many people don't seem to understand. Please tell us all about that. Where do we get this oxygen from? And what are we going to do to ensure that we keep getting oxygen to breathe and be alive?
Thank you very much again. The gas, the oxygen that we're taking, we get it from the plants. And then the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, the plant take it. So that's just the simple balance of the equation. I was at a meeting 2 days ago, and I was like, because each time I'm interested in Lagos State and all these coastal communities, for example, there is a particular ecosystem we call wetlands, and Lagos State is majorly a wetland. And then before you know it, you have these buildings and companies springing up and converting the wetlands and just sand filling. So I was asking NCF that day that, what is NCF doing, or what are we going to do about this? Because these wetlands, the ecosystem services that they are providing for us, it is enormous. You see, as far as even environmentalists are concerned, we are still yet able to exactly quantify what natural resources is giving us. And this is the reason why we have to let people continue to know that, look, the more you clear the lands, the less we have oxygen, the more we have carbon dioxide, and the more the Earth's surface gets warmed. And that is why we are having these issues. Coming back to Fashola, honestly, we had a program we supported in Lagos State during the time of Fashola. It was not just Baba Flower. He was just, I could tell him Baba Environment that time, because there was a LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, that we supported in 2012 with the Friends of the Environment. And after Fashola saw the results of this, another one, after Fashola saw the results of this, he declared Lagos State the year, in the year 2013, the year of adoption of LPG. And you will see that you hardly go to any restaurant in Lagos State now where they are using firewood. It was Fashola's when he saw the result of this work. And then he worked with some of these companies producing gas. That is why now you could see people buying gas in like 200 naira, 300 naira. Because one of the challenges that time was will these communities be able to afford to buy these things? So I think if these policies and this knowledge, I wouldn't know how Fashola got. So I don't know whether we are not doing enough to, sell the story to the people in power or whatever. But if I can know how Fashola got, sold out to environment.
With ambassadors, look at me.
Honestly, I'm delighted that Lagos State is back because, they had a climate change series. Summit, the climate summit, the Lagos climate summit, because I was also on the sideline, also involved in it. And of course, businesses were also invited. So I think after the small lull, I think they are back now because Lagos State had, I think sometimes in May, they had a climate summit.
And even the tree planting as well.
So they are back on it now. But the most important aspect of it is to be consistent. And so.
Exactly.
But I'll come back also to the question and issues of, because at the end of the day, they say money naim be the heart of the matter, and that's why it should be a matter of the heart for us. In context of the ecological fund, and also the climate change fund in our country, we need to interrogate this. What is the situation as far as the climate change fund itself is concerned? Because we have a climate change department. There's a national policy on climate change. What is the situation now?
What does that policy say?
The policy, of course, elaborates what should be done as far as the climate change issue is concerned. It's not rocket science. It just took from the international programs. That's why we adapted it to a national policy to do all of the things which we're talking about, planting a tree, ensure that you reduce your carbon print. So there's a national plan, but we need to have it down to all the local government level.
That's one of the
challenges. And then the funding
yes.
to also, because I come from the perspective of business, and I'm saying, NACIMA, as the National Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, we're not just keeping an eye on it, we are also sensitizing chambers members across the country.
One of the challenges that my apologies, yes. Ambassador. One of the challenges that I've said, and I tried to bring it up the other time, is the enforcement. Not every business would be happy to part, so to speak, with money that they can't really say, okay, if I invest this is what's going to come back to the bottom line.
Let me concretize the abstractions for you. As an SME, they say SMEs is the base, is national development in terms of enjoyment, giving job opportunities and things like that. So what has happened now is that there are international partnerships. I'll give you an example, that to reduce your carbon imprint, to reduce your use of generator, that it is possible to use alternative energy. So funds are there as an SME for you to be able to. And that's what we're saying, that the Climate Change Fund, the National Climate Change Fund, can do things like this. That, Ayo, this is your SME. You can apply for this fund at a concessionally loan to change your generator and use green energy. Use alternative energy. Those are the practical things.
But there are those who believe that that's very expensive.
Yes, and solar and all of that. And that's why we're saying that it is possible using our ecological fund as well as maybe the climate change fund itself to encourage people. Mrs. Olubami spoke about the question of people now using gas. I was involved also in the LPG thing. If you're traveling from Ife to Ilesha, I'm from Ilesha, those Akara women, they were encouraging them at a particular time to use gas. don't use firewood. So if those, at that particular period, so if those women don't use firewood and they're using gas, that means we are moving towards concretizing the abstraction and ensuring that the mama put that used to use firewood has moved to use gas. So those are the things, those are the nitty-gritty. But government has a role. The businesses also, because the businesses are struggling, they must be encouraged to go along the path of sustainable development and to reduce the carbon imprint.
Ambassador,
yes.
This movement from fossil fuel, which is wood, to gas, maybe you can see that it's working in the urban centers. But like you said, in the rural area, on your way to Elisha, for instance, how aware are those women and even men who work in the farms, for instance, who fry gari and all that? How aware are they of this need to change from using firewood to other sources of...
I was involved in the Urban Hill Rains Environment Program in Cross River State. You travel into those areas. And that's where the engagement with the local government is important. That's where it is to come to that particular level. It is possible to do that. I'm just giving you the example of traveling from Lagos through to Ibadan, and Ife, and you see those women selling all those things. At the end of the day, those are the rural dwellers as well. So it is possible to do this and take it down to those particular areas. But in close partnership, one, with the local government area, and also, I'll give the good example of, there are city chambers all across Nigeria now. You have in Abeokuta, you have in Dremo, you have in Ota. If you go to Sokoto, you have... So the possibility of using chambers of commerce to preach this gospel and also demonstrate the possibility, if you're, for example, in Oron, local government area or chambers of commerce, we have to be very innovative.
Publicity costs money. Yeah. Publicity costs money.
I think just to take him on that, just to add to some of the things he's been discussing, is the fact that there are other initiatives. It mustn't be liquefied natural gas. It can be clean cook stove, which are affordable at community level. There are a lot of initiatives. No, the kind of stove that does not use much of the fuel wood that you will use to cook food, and that use some kind of what we call briquettes, what we call sawdust, and all of that.
What about the use of kerosene?
The use of kerosene is still fossil. You're still using energy from crude oil. So it's
same
really,
as same result as the firewood.
And the fact that helping business to integrate, government has not really. There is a policy, like you mentioned, and government is also working on what we call nationally determined contribution, which they have just submitted to the UNFCCC last month. And they have a whole lot of commitment. Government of Nigeria committed on our behalf to reduce carbon emission by 20% on our own.
Question is how?
Now, there are a lot of hows. There are a lot of hows in that document, if you have it. There are about 7 sectors: transportation, getting rapid bus transport system, using electric vehicles.
Cars.
There are electric vehicles that are being launched in some parts of Nigeria now. I saw it on TV.
We saw the one launched in Lagos.
So in terms of promoting this and subsidizing it is where we should be talking about.
I hope you have also factored in the cost. Don't answer the question. Mr. Olubamiche, perhaps there are some other solutions that people need to know, maybe that are more, how do I say this, down to earth.
Thank you very much. And that is where I come in, actually. The program that I coordinate in Nigeria, the Jeff Small Grants Program, the idea of the Small Grant Program is that let the people with the policy, with the whatever, let them continue. What can the grassroots people do? And that is where the Jeff Small Grants came in. We started in Nigeria in 2009, and up to date, we have supported over 170 community projects that has to do with environment. Community project. Lagos State is number 2 that has benefited. Lagos State, Cross River, and Benue State are the 3 highest states that have benefited from this project. One of them was the LPG I spoke about. And then what we when you were asking Ambassador about communities, how do they understand? When you go to some communities, I was in a place in Benue State. These women, they use wheelbarrow to go and fetch water overnight. They go today, wait when they get to that community for the community that has the water to fetch their own. After they are done, then they will fetch and they will come back the next day. That is how bad it has been. So when you go to these communities, and then when you talk of firewood, people who will go to their backyard before and cut trees and then cook, now they travel kilometers before they get firewood. I hope you know that the popular afang leaf now that we eat in Nigeria is imported from Cameroon. That is how bad the forest, yes. You will see truckloads, I can give you the figure.
Imported afang?
Yes, we are importing afang to Nigeria now. So we had to support a project in Cross River where we train the communities how to and then to even plant it is also a little bit technical. So we had to go into that and train the communities how to...
Sorry, I'm really confused here.
to plant.
Afang.
Afang, yes.
The what?
Yes, the one we buy in the market. Afang.
Import.
Yes.
We are importing.
Yes.
We are importing to Nigeria now.
Okay.
Anyway,
so
Ambassador.
Sorry, Alero. There was something I also hear from the grapevine that you support a particular group of women to plant certain leaves for moi moi.
Oh yes, thank you.
Wow. Certain leaves for
moi moi.
moi.
The moi moi leaf, the popular moi moi leaf now. You see, the world is actually embracing the fact that communities can also contribute to these things. We supported a project in 2018, 2019 to encourage the cultivation of this moi moi leaf. And you know, the idea of this moi moi, of encouraging them was that the cocoa farmers, they use chemicals to kill weeds. In the process of killing weeds, they were killing the moi moi leaves. And because of nylon, that people now, it's very easily, it's cheaper and all that, people tend to forget about moi moi leaf. So we try to encourage, and you know all the health effect of using polythene, nylon, both aesthetic and health and everything. So we supported that, and fortunately, the project actually won an international award called the UNDP Equator Award. And then we discovered that encouraging the planting of the moi moi leaf does not only give them the moi moi leaf. The snails, the mushrooms that have gone from these cocoa farms are now returning. So the effect is, the outcome is even beyond what we were at initially going out to achieve. So these are some of the things, and then so we encourage the farmers, and now the project is even expanded. The Ministry of Environment during the National Council on Environment, the one that was held in Kaduna about 2 years ago, they actually mandated all states that can plant the moi moi leaf to please begin to go. Because it's not just for us now to go back to using moi moi leaf, but also to address the health effect of using nylon and then the biodiversity.
Yeah, Desmond, it is clear that we can't leave government to do everything. In fact, it looks like we're going to get the biggest impact when everybody is doing their own little bit in their own little corner. What would you say Nigerians should be doing in their little corners now to try and alleviate this problem?
Well, Mrs. Olubamise has actually got the nail right on the head. We can start going back to what we've always been doing from time immemorial, and that is, producing our own food. We can have little gardens. That's one of the things we're doing at Lufasi Park with the local community, helping them to get snail production, little bit of aquaculture, and also planting vegetables. We have to go back to the land. Yes, and give it a lot more respect and regard, definitely. And well, another quick solution. Let's put Mrs. Olubamise, an ambassador, in charge of the ecology fund. I'm sure we'll see it.
Well, that sounds like I can't say all in favor say aye, because I'm not sure what I'll get. But Ambassador,
Good use of it.
oh, definitely. But you know, it's been a lot of talk.
Yeah.
The challenge, you said it earlier, is that of really walking the talk.
Yes.
As you said earlier, it's not that we don't know what to do. We know what to do. As a matter of fact, we know the right thing to do. My producer has just told me that we have the best, one of the best climate change plans in the world. I don't even know, what that means. But do you think that those whose responsibility it is to execute the plan understand?
Well, I think the first thing we should accept and say is that we need a political buy-in at the highest level. This is key. This is very important.
Are you insinuating that there isn't a buy-in at this point? And we're attending all those
we need to
COP conferences?
A harder push. A harder push. You know, we never had the Ministry of Environment before. The environment issue used to be in one small little corner of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Then we went to Rio, and they showed us the documentary evidence. We came back home quickly. And as a result of the political buy-in, we created the Federal Ministry of Environment. It used to be FEPA, which is now NESRIA. So we created, that is an indication of the fact that we recognized it and we should. So this is what we should also do as far as the entire issue of the national policy of the environment, the national policy and agenda as far as climate change itself is concerned, and as well as the issue of what do we do with the fund effectively. It is key. It is very. Now let me draw attention to the possibility that we can succeed as far as this is concerned. On the international level, we have the ozone layer, the Montreal Protocol. We were able to repair the damage because of the international cooperation as well as action at the national level. Now that we are having this now, is it possible for us to do? Yes, but we need effective leadership, committed leadership. And what does that mean? It means the institutional arrangement. At the federal level, the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Environment, we need to have professionals. Because, you know, I'm a 66-year-old man, retired about 5 years. When people like us leave the place, what happens? Sustainability, we must make sure that, because that is a very important aspect.
Which is why I asked that question about understanding.
Now, as far as businesses are concerned, the businesses are struggling, but efforts are being made to make sure that, look, business, take a long view of history. It is for your own interest, but they must be supported.
Okay.
And that's why we talked about the climate change fund itself, the ecological fund, which my brother, you know, it's really good to see you, Dr. Majo Kudumi, you know, again, we come a long way on this environment issue too as well. And that you can make effective use of the private sector in terms of how to push this agenda and have it more effectively across the board.
Are we run out of time?
Yeah, we're running out of time, actually.
Well, I just want to quickly ask Ambassador something regarding industry.
Yes.
Effluents from factories.
Yes. Oh, yes.
How is that going? Because it was a big topic about 2-3 years ago.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's still a big problem. It's still a big problem. And that's why, of course, within the organized private sector, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, NASME, and all of us are also on this particular issue to make sure that we reduce that in terms of a sustainable production pattern, which would tackle question and issues of effluent.
Okay.
I think this is something which, of course, we have. And like I mentioned, the Chambers Coalition, Climate Coalition itself, COP26 is coming in Glasgow, and the International Chambers of Commerce itself is looking at this issue.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Adefolu, in 30 seconds, how do we integrate or begin to integrate climate change in our daily conversations so that the awareness and carry along can increase?
Yeah, so one thing that is very certain for me is faith. We need to integrate climate climate change into faith. Faith-based institutions are very key. Everybody in Nigeria believes in whatever the Pope says, whatever the bishop and pastor Gio and all of that. So we need to take it to that level because it's a do-or-die affair. Now, it has come to a point in time that we need to do something.
Essentially, you're saying it's as important as salvation.
Yes.
It is salvation.
Okay. Well, there are so many other issues, and I'm pretty sure it's the same. Absolutely, it's the same for every faith, in the world, Nigeria in particular. But for now, we have to thank you very much all for being a part of our conversation this morning. Ibironke Olubamiche is National Coordinator, Global Environment Facilities Small Grants Program. Thank you very much for your time, Ambassador Ayolukoni. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Director General Nasima and former Acting Permanent Rep to the United Nations Environment Program. And we've also spoken with Mr. Solomon Adefulu, who is Lead Climate Change Program, Nigeria Conservation Foundation, as well as Desmond Majokodumi, founder, Lufasi Park. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Apostle.
for being a part of our conversation this morning.
Thank you very much.
So Sunrise continues after now with another interesting conversation. We'll be back.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We are hosting the Commissioner of Information, Ebonyi State, this morning in the person of Mr. Orji Uchendu Orji.
Uchenna Orji, thank you very much.
Uchenna, thank you very much. Mr. Orji, thank you for coming to pay us a visit again.
Appreciate
The last
it.
time you were here, you told us about many things happening in Ebonyi State, and you actually brought pictures and videos with you at that time. It has been a while now. How much progress has been made in Ebonyi State since your last visit?
Yeah, thank you very much. The 6 years of His Excellency Engineer Chief David Mwezu Mahe has been very eventful. We are very grateful to God that at this point in our history, we've got a leader par excellence who has come to make a difference in the history of Ebonyi State. So 6 years has been very beautiful. I can say that if you had been there before 2015 and you are there today, you will agree that Ebonyi State is an emerging city, a state that is one of the fastest developing states in terms of infrastructure, human capital development, and overall transformation status, as it were. So if you go by the issue of road, before he came on board, we had got debt of road. And that was one of the reasons why we were called North Star of the nation. But today, Ebonyi is like a global village with network of road across the 13 local government areas. And all, I can say 90% done in concrete pavement of 8 inches. That is a novel in Nigeria. And the highways, that is the federal roads, also have been done by our dear governor. And that is to prepare us for economic development, because that's in line with the blueprint that he did develop in 2015 when he came on board. But beyond this is looking at getting to address the economic and social problems that are ravaging the nation. One of them is unemployment. One of them is getting to have a self-reliant population, self-sufficient population, where there is food security, where there is also social security. And what did he do differently? He began to do things that we never imagined before he came on board. One was to ensure that he would give Ebonyi State a face that will outface the face it used to have. Before he came, we are having what we call inferiority complex brought about by the nature of our state. But today, apart from Abuja and Lagos, you can see that Ebonyi State has the highest number of flyovers, wonderfully made by indigenous contractors, and even civil servants within the Ministry of Works. And he's just preparing for total investment, because he's looking at private sector participation in industrialization of Ebonyi State. That is to say, he cannot put all the industries, but he needed to put the environment and also put the critical infrastructure that will help in transforming the state. So he continued and began to build facilities that will employ our youth and women. One of them in the shopping mall, a shopping mall that has no less than 5,000 number shops.
Has it been completed now? Because the last time you came, you told us about it.
Yeah, it has been completed. A wonderful edifice. What they are doing now
is it functioning now?
Yeah, they are shortlisting people who are getting to access the shops. And he made it available to the indigenes and non-indigenes. Of course, the youths and women are the real target. They have a priority attention in this regard. So they are already indicating interest, and very soon that place will now begin to function effectively. And the governor is looking at getting the administration and management of government, because government is not a good businessman. And so that's why advertisement has been made for people, even those from Computer Village in Lagos are coming to also take some shops. A very wonderful edifice. Mr. Bruce came and said that it's the biggest shopping mall in Africa. And I can say that...
even if you say so yourself, we'll take your word for it. We'll take your word for it.
For sure, it's something that you need to see, because the facts speak for themselves.
Okay.
And,
now, you spoke about the governor wanting private-public partnership for further infrastructural development. How is he going about this? Or how is the state going about this?
Yeah, in the first place, he takes that those critical infrastructure must be on ground that require government's funding. For instance, international airport building, he takes that building that it has to really seek for private management, private sector management that can be national or international, because we are looking at having an international airport that will be fashioned after Lagos and Abuja. That will be one of the three contending international airports. Looking at international trades, businesses getting to have exporters and exporters coming straight to Ebonyi State, you know, the economic implication of that. And so he's also looking at making necessary legislations to give investors the opportunities, unfettered opportunities to access our land, to access our labor, to also enjoy the security and the environment of Ebonyi State. And this is already in place. And all we are doing now is to harvest quite a number of investors coming to Ebonyi State, and they require some of these critical sectors like airport, like good road, like flyovers, and so many other things, other economic facilities and health facilities. Today we have Africa's biggest University of Medical Sciences. You may doubt it. If you doubt it, I will just have to assist you come to Ebonyi State, that you appreciate what I'm talking about.
Where
just
is it?
recently, it's located in one local government, the Hansa local government in Ebonyi State. And recently, NUC gave it accreditation and has approved that.
Say that again, University of what?
Medical Sciences. There will be a center of excellence for the treatment of terminal diseases, including liver problems, heart diseases, and all of that.
When is that going to come on stream?
Yeah, we have started to advertise for the management. Acting Vice Chancellor has just been appointed, and advert has been made for registrar and other management cadre, and of course senior lecturers with a very serious standard that is an international standard that the person must meet before the person is recruited to be there. And we are saying that just like one of the best and even costliest universities of the world, that university will be of international standard, and will also be costly, because it needs to be run by individuals, not by government.
When you talk about recruitment, I mean, straight away takes my mind to the labor market. Labor force statistics, unemployment and underemployment by state in Q2 of last year, I don't know what the figures are for now, says that, yes, massively improved unemployment rate, but we still have something in the region of 14% plus, that are unemployed. And underemployment is quite high, 25.7%. So how are the infrastructural developments that you're talking about helping to reduce these unemployment figures?
Yeah, thank you very much. Our dear governor is looking at providing what we call green-collar job and not a white-collar job. White collar jobs, yes, good. He just announced recruitment of 5,000 number civil servants within the local government and state level. I think a committee was set up yesterday in the Executive Council to go about the recruitment. But he's looking beyond that because there's no amount of minimum wage that can really help to lift the living standard of a civil servant. So he's looking at green collar jobs. So he's emphasizing on empowerment of civil servants. Just last time he rolled out 4 billion naira for the empowerment of civil servants. That was a facility. So he's looking at empowerment. He's also looking at getting to put them in industries, in factories where they will be working and they will be earning a living. And that's why I did mention the shopping mall, of course, the international market, the international airport, other facilities. This medical university is going to take no less than 10,000 number of workers. That is direct and indirect job with a lot of ancillary, services around the place. We have other institutions, even in the healthcare delivery system, and even in the education system, like we have the King David Academy that is just started now, being owned by the mission, by the missionaries. They are going to run it. And again, we have the vocational college that is going to really capture all of these people in vocational trades, especially those school dropouts that are doing well in talents. So that will develop them and inject them back to the society to render services that will trigger economic development. So I assure you that with what the governor is targeting also with agricultural programs going on in Ebonyi State, with his engagement with donor agencies, development partners, and even the CBN of federal government, we are very sure that it's going to address squarely the issue of unemployment and the issue of joblessness in Ebonyi State as well.
What do you mean by green-collar jobs?
Yeah, some call it blue-collar job. The idea is that apart from civil service, apart from public service, like I am a commissioner, I should have a second address. We call it a second address system, whereby you go into agri-related programs like whether in primary, secondary, or even tertiary agri program that you need to invest in that, and government will give you the money, give you the training, and sometimes it's always grant.
Give you or lend you?
That's why sometimes it's always grant. So government will give you as an ex gratia to go into programs that are agri-related, because as a civil servant or public servant, there are businesses you cannot do. But you can still do that by proxy through your father or mother or wife or husband or through any other person. And that is invoked now in Ebonyi State because we're looking at getting beyond the economic situation that we have, getting to know, tap our local content. Of course, we are an agrarian state and we are inclined in agriculture, and I think that our land is also very, very viable in this.
I mean, you over 85% of the population of Ebonyi State we have in the document that they reside in the rural area, in the rural heartland of the environment. But one sad reality in the facts also out in the public space from a report that says estimates of rural poverty level and income distribution in Ebonyi State of Nigeria says that the rural workforce income in different employments appeared rather small. The precise size and level of the perceived poverty incidence in Ebonyi State are not known. And I also know that in November 2019 and in May 2020, Ebonyi State government has rejected the poverty figures of ascribed to Ebonyi State. We're talking about infrastructure development, and I'm pretty sure that the infrastructure will not run themselves. They will be run by people. So that's why I'm asking these questions. How do these infrastructure support employment or a lack of it? How do they support erasing or reducing the severity of poverty in the land?
Yeah, let me also correct an impression. I want to concede that before 2015, Ebonyi State was like a glorified village. Our parts of Ebonyi State was indeed a village because all the basic amenities were not there. But today, we have got no less than 3 satellite towns. Of course, the metropolis is an emerging metropolis that can attract even creative industry, as it were. Now, come to talk of it, yes, I was actually in the know of the rejection of that analysis by MBS. And our idea is that the modus of assessment was more or less theoretical, has got no physical or empirical impactment. And if you are looking at the recent analysis by one organization, the same MBS also did look at our job creation and empowerment ratio and said that we are above board. The same MBS, that was recently. In 2018, World Bank made an assessment about what they call state-to-state health indices. And they said that Ebonyi State is above average because of the kind of primary healthcare system, secondary healthcare, and tertiary healthcare system being put in place by their governor. And that is why today we have the only virology center in the southeast and one of the biggest in Nigeria. We have what we call School of Midwifery that just had their matriculation a couple of days ago. So we are doing a lot to revamp the health sector. I know health has a lot to do with human capital development. Nutrition is also part of what we are dealing with under human capital development to get the young persons at the primary levels, get them fed very well and get them to really be sound intellectually. So we are doing all of these things to come up. Let me mention something also in the area of education. We are doing a lot to make a difference. Before, we were said to be educationally less privileged, but when the governor came on board as 2017, we now emerged as one of the 10 best states in WAEC. It has continued to accredit it today. And again, the UNEC had the assessment about the best medical student, that is somebody that took JAM for medicine and surgery, and somebody in Ebonyi, from Ebonyi, who studied Ebonyi, in all the federation, in all the local governments of the federation, somebody in Ebonyi emerged. That was 2007. These are indicators showing that we are really emerging. So what has government done? The government feels that critical infrastructure must be on ground. Today we have Africa's biggest rice milling plant. And this rice milling plant can even process the rice need of the entire Southeast and South-South. And of course, we are participating in the presidential rice program. And that is why today, Mr. President, under this PC administration, named Ebonyi as one of the 3 largest producers of rice. So this will really re-inject activity, economic activity, and of course the value chain in all of these agri programs will increase. And we aren't taking lightly the issue of partnering with development partners. That's where the governor is a genius. He doesn't play with all these development partners.
That's noted, and in quite a number of things that you have said, you know, how it trickles down to the people, that's another thing altogether. Well, I know, I mean, you've been here to talk to us about what government is doing, especially with the youths and all of that. One aspect of the youth life is sports. What's happening in that sector?
Thank you so very much. The governor also is doing a lot to give comprehensive attention to the youth in the area of employment, keeping them busy, and sports is one of them. The Minister of Sports Development in Ebonyi State has been working hard to see how to get the youths, especially in primary, secondary school, of course, in tertiary institutions, to see how they can be gainfully engaged in sporting activities. Today, we have, sports competition between among local government areas, among zones, 3 zones of the state, and inter-school competitions. The idea is to really harvest the talents in all of these sporting events, and we are having what is called.
Is that your sports infrastructure?
Yes, it's our
stadium.
Our stadium that the governor is constructing now, and this is different from the one he did rehabilitate, that is the best in the Southeast. He's really going to get this rounded off before he bows out. This is just kind of template of the way the stadium is going to be, our prototype, please. And I want to say that the governor is looking at helping these people, empowering them to ensure that they really use their talents to make a living.
Okay. Quickly, before you go, you spoke about the rice in your state. How far from Ebonyi can one get that rice to buy?
Rice is everywhere. We have
Does it get to Lagos?
distributorship. Yeah, it does get to Lagos through some chains. You know, we have marketers. You have to come and subscribe. So that is a distributorship chain. And I can say, of course, I was commissioner for agriculture for 2 years. We started it, and I know that even in Abuja, in parts of the country, everybody is asking for Ebonyi rice. And in fact, what the governor did was to ban consumption of foreign rice in Ebonyi. Not just importation, but banning the consumption. So it becomes illegitimate for you to eat foreign rice because we have a lot of evil things associated to it, having to do with rice that you don't know where it was made, kind of storage system and all of that. And that has really helped us. That's why in Ebonyi State we are getting healthier. Don't forget, they had an indices about our death, what they call maternal mortality ratio, and they said Ebonyi State's own is above average, and these are some of the reasons.
Mr. Orji Uchenna Orji, every time you come, you bring us good news from Ebonyi.
Thank you.
We hope that we continue to hear good things from Ebonyi regarding development, youth employment. And we didn't get to talk about security at all, but we'll leave that for the next time you come. Thank you very much. Mr. Orji Uchenna Orji, Commissioner for Information, Ebonyi State. Thank you for dropping by today.
I appreciate it.
Tell us about things happening in your state. Sunrise will return in just a moment to talk about another interesting topic. Belu?
Well, time for us to look at Junior Achievement Nigeria. We have some representatives of that body with us this morning to discuss the Venture in Management Program and Lead Camp, which is a program designed to address youth unemployment in the country, as well as work readiness for core members. Folusho Gbadamosi is Executive Director, Junior Achievement Nigeria, and as well as Dr. Henrietta Onwebuze, who is Director, MBA Programs, Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University. They both join us virtually. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let me begin with Folusho Gbadamosi. It'll be interesting to find out. Let's just first of all begin with that. I mean, you're the one leading this program, so to speak. So talk to us about it for those who may have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. Thank you so much for having us, and good morning. So Junior Achievement Nigeria, is an organization that is in the development sector, and we run programs that empower the youth. Our focus this morning is on two of our major programs. One is Lead Camp, and the other one is the Venture in Management Program, which is in collaboration with the Lagos Business School. Let me start with the Lead Camp, and then we'll segue into the other one because Dr. Henrietta is, part of that program. So the first program, Lead Camp, is an empowerment camp for young girls. And we usually take SS2 and SS3 students from all over the country. Typically, pre-COVID, we would, host them in Lagos, we would fly them down, and it would be a residential week-long program where we cover all kinds of topics. So everything from finance to personal hygiene, to technology, and just so on and so forth. Everything to kind of get them to understand the importance of all these different fields, but also for them to see women in these fields so that they know that there are things that they can actually aspire to be. So what we usually find is that the girls leave the program supercharged, energized. I mean, a lot of them have never interacted with these types of women before. They've never been taught these types of things before because obviously the school learning is not, is not as hands-on as what you learn when you're outside of school. And so they get to learn quite a lot from that. And that program celebrated its 20th year this year. We have a lot of amazing alumni who also come back and speak to the girls. So this was really, really encouraging for them this year, especially. I think about a third of our speakers this year are actually alumni from the program. So the girls were so happy to see that, wow, you mean I can actually, aspire to one day also empower people that, like I have been empowered. The second program is Venture in Management Program, which is just absolutely, absolutely amazing. That is in partnership with Lagos Business School. And that program is really just all about taking outstanding youth core members. So typically we would take about 50 of them. We usually get hundreds and hundreds of applications, over 700 applications, sometimes over 1,000. And we'll, kind of then have to go through all of that. It's a real rigorous process of selecting the ones that, will then end up in the program. They go through interview processes, they fill out application forms, they do all those good things. And then we then select the top 50. This year was our first year running it hybrid. So typically it would also be fully residential. We would fly everyone into Lagos. We put them in a hotel close to the Lagos Business School. But because of the pandemic, obviously, we had to be careful. So this year we ran it hybrid. So we actually had more people this year than we normally do. We had about 99 participants. So we had 50 in person and about 49 or so online. And that program is really to empower them on so many different things. I think I'm going to let Dr. Henrietta speak on that because it really is her baby. And I think it's better for her to, kind of just tell us what it's really about. But that program is in its 21st year and also has lots of fantastic alumni. I mean, the alumni are people that are running their own organizations now, and they run it in different sectors, whether it's in the development sector, whether it's in the private sector. And the most beautiful thing about these programs is that they're learning about nation building. They're learning about giving back. They're learning about problem solving. They're learning that it's not always about complaining about all the issues, about the unemployment. Why don't you solve a problem, that you can also then be empowered and make some money from, also hire people and all that good stuff. But let me let Dr. Henrietta speak because this is really her baby. So over to you, Dr.
Felicia, before we let you go, before you sneak away, what is the age range of the girls we're talking about here?
Right. Okay. So the age range for the lead camp, which is for girls, we typically take girls that are from the ages of 15 to 18. No, that's not true. I'm sorry, 13 to 18. So the reason why we have that range is because even though we focus on SS2 and SS3, depending on what part of the country you're from, the age that you are in those classes might differ. So we tend to have a bit of a wide range so that we can let other girls in. The other thing with that program is that this year was the second year that we ran it virtual. So we actually opened it up to more people than we typically would.
What about the VIMP?
Okay, the VIMP is for coppers, right? So so if you're currently serving, so you have to be currently serving. And so that's really that's the major criteria, because once again, you've noticed that everybody's age for serving is different. You know what I mean? Because people finish university at different ages, depending on what university they went to, depending on the challenges that, that they might have had. Because, sometimes there are strikes and all these other issues.
All right.
So it's really for those that are currently serving.
Okay. Dr. Onwebuze, well, she handed you the baton a while ago, but we just wanted to let her go for a bit. So you may want to begin by speaking to some of the issues she's raised and directed at you.
Okay. Right, so thank you for having us, as Felicia said previously, and I still think that it's the thunder is for JAM, because they are the ones who brought the program to us, and we decided to do it in a sense as our CSR, because we typically look at a higher age range, and so we saw this as an opportunity to really contribute to our mission to developing leaders for Africa and the rest of the world, and so Genuine Achievement comes with these enthusiastic young people who have been selected, and we do our best to expose them to what I would summarize as a leadership development program that we hope will transform them in various ways. So the program was designed to open their eyes beyond the immediate needs that they may have, to see that they could make a difference. So I typically believe that the academia needs to begin to transform from producing job seekers, people who go to school to get a job, to producing job creators, which is what today's society needs all over the world. There's a global unemployment problem, and that's because schools are constantly churning out more students than jobs available. And so it doesn't make sense that we continue to produce more people who can only seek jobs when we could also be producing job creators, enabling people to employ others. So this was an opportunity to also help them see that job seeking is not the only option to earn a living, because indeed, in pre-colonial times, we were mainly, in fact, that was all we knew, entrepreneurship. We didn't call it that fancy name, but that was how we survived. And unemployment did not exist because you had families of farmers, blacksmiths, fishermen, herders, or whatever it was. But society was served through these various things. So when designing the VIM program, the whole idea was to not just inform them, but transform them by providing them with strong management knowledge, strong leadership knowledge as well as political awareness. It's about time young people understood that they can make a difference in the political sphere. Okay? I've looked at different countries and their histories, and the change didn't come from government, it came from the people. And so if we want to see a better Nigeria, we need to create a better ecosystem, and young people need to know how they can begin to participate properly, systematically, to seeing better leadership emerge, and also understand how management works so that they can also understand how to run businesses successfully by being impactful in solving problems.
Okay. Dr. Nwubuzie, please tell us briefly about your just concluded VIM.
Right, so they were in LBS from the 2nd of August to the 6th of August, which is Monday to Friday. And there were 100 of them. They started off with 65 online and 35 in class due to our COVID protocols. Eventually, we had to ask more to come to school because we could see that not everybody was having a smooth time online due to internet challenges. But they were exposed to sessions on problem solving and decision making, data analysis, understanding the future of work with AI, robotics, machine learning, etc. We had entrepreneurs come and share experiences with them. We brought Innocent to actually come in by Zoom to speak to them about his experiences, and that was quite amazing because he spoke about the need for integrity and how it has helped him, and hard work and going the extra mile, standing out. They really, really loved that. We spoke to them about entrepreneurship. I spoke to them about, it was just a week full of things to empower them in different ways. I called it a time release pill, something that they would need all through their lives. And they were thrilled. I was happy to see them say thank you all the time. Sometimes we believe that millennials are not appreciative, but these ones were different. And I was wondering, what's different about these guys? They were definitely saying thank you every day, at every minute. I'm so happy to be here. They were really, and that was refreshing to see. They brought a new kind of life to our school, which is full of executives, CEOs, directors. Now we had young blood who were excited about what they were learning. So it was just a week of development, in every aspect. Also personally, we talked about ethics, talked about honing your personal skills, your character, and how that affects business.
Okay, you said you also taught them some political awareness. How was their reaction to that? Were they really interested in it?
Very much so. Awesome. I think that was one of their, if not their best session, because the speaker was at their level, talking with them, singing with them. But it was, something we're all faced with. We now understand what how leadership can affect our lives. So it were super engaged from beginning to the end.
Well, I would be interested in how interested are they in taking on some of the things they must have heard? Because as well as I do that many people feel politics is too dirty. The young people don't want to be a part of it. How did you, communicate to them about that?
So I didn't speak. Joyce Daniels took the session, and she was able to take them through a step-by-step process. So the thing is, politics is much more than the dirty aspects. There's more to it, and there is a system to it. We saw that in the way Obama, who was the least expected candidate to win, won not just once, but twice. So the whole idea is to help people understand how the various arms of government work, how the Constitution affects all of us, the importance of having an enabling environment, and how they can begin gradually to participate in influencing the way things are going. So it's not an overnight thing. It was not going to be upturned by a revolution or anything, but there are many ways to do it. And one of the ways that can clearly influence politics is the financial, economic emancipation of the masses. When people are poor, they can't think. So there's a direct relationship between entrepreneurship or business and the political outcomes we have. Poverty feeds corruption. So long as Nigerians remain impoverished, it's going to be very difficult to upturn, the status quo. So through the various businesses that they can start, and I help them see, because my area is entrepreneurship, that the best businesses are actually those that are problem driven, okay? Find out what problem you can solve, because a problem means people are looking for a solution. And if you're the one providing that solution at the right price, you will have customers. Money will chase you. Money chases value. And so the more of them do this, the more jobs are created, the more we gradually eliminate poverty. And you see, and as people become financially emancipated, they can now begin to think with their heads, not with their stomachs.
All right. Well, Ms. Badamasi, let me ask you this. Part of the problem that Lead Camp wants to solve is addressing the Social Development Goal 5, which is gender equality and empowerment of women and girls. Given the challenges that we have in our climb, how tasking has that been? What are some of the challenges that you have seen and know that we need to contend with if that problem is going to be solved?
Okay, so I think that one of the biggest challenges when it comes to that, obviously, is the education of the girl child, and the fact that we still have many cultural biases against girls, against women. We also have a lot of things that girls contend with that the male gender doesn't. And those are some of the things that we try to speak to them about at the Lead Camp. You know, it's almost like thinking about something as a catalyst, right? The more of these girls that you're able to educate and empower, the more they are able to go into their, into their communities and also empower others as well, able to talk to them, able to teach them about what they've learned. The amazing thing about these young women is that, very, very similar to what Dr. Henrietta said about the youth, you know, they really are eager to learn. A lot of them come from backgrounds that they have never met these kinds of people that are speaking to them before. In fact, they don't even think that some of these things are possible. I remember there was a mom I spoke to for one of the girls from Lead Camp, and you know, she sells in the market, and she said to me that her daughter wants to be one of these types of banker people, and that she has no clue, you know, how to even expose her to such people. So she was so grateful for the opportunity that her daughter got to attend Lead Camp. She told me that her daughter told her about all what she learned. So I think for me, it's really the fact that we're able to catalyze people, you know, we're able to teach them things and expose them to things that they've never been exposed to before. And they can then go back into their neighborhoods, into their communities, and express that these things are actually possible. You know, it's beyond the days of, you know, women are only for this or women are only for that. You know, what you see those women on the screen talking to you about, you too can be there. We also have a very, very good mix of, you know, speakers and also of students. So we don't focus on, let me put it this way, on the upper class, because we know that a lot of the upper class and, you know, even the upper middle class already have exposure to this. Most of our participants are from lower income backgrounds. And so that is really the way that we're able to really make a change, because really that is the majority of the society. The youth are also the majority of the society. I mean, we've got, I believe they said that it's over 50% of the country is actually under the age of 19. So we have so many youth that, you know, don't get the opportunity to be exposed to the things that would help them know that they can actually have a better future. So like Dr. Henrietta said, this whole thing about entrepreneurship, it's also something that we speak to them about at the Lead Camp. We let them understand that you don't always have to wait for a job to come to you. You know, you can also become an entrepreneur. You can solve a problem in your neighborhood. And we also have competitions for them. And during those competitions, that's when you get to see what they've learned. You know, you get to see how the wheels in their heads have been turning, because we teach them about critical thinking and problem solving as well. And I mean, I think the best part of this all is the fact that a lot of the alumni attest to the fact that this program really transformed their lives and made them think about things beyond what they typically would have thought about and beyond what they learned in school.
This program has been going on for a while. How successful would you say it has been based on how many of your students have actually gone out and become entrepreneurs?
Okay, that's a great question. So this year at Lead Camp, a few of our alumni that spoke are actually entrepreneurs. And I think the beauty of that was that because they had experienced the program and because they are currently in entrepreneurship, they were able to express it to the girls in a way that they would understand, remembering that they too were once on the, you know, on the other side learning from people. Quite a lot of our alumni are actually entrepreneurs. I think that if you look at the population of women in Nigeria, even career women, a lot of them are also entrepreneurs. You know, you find that women tend to kind of dabble between the two, where, you know, they might have a career office job in the private sector, but they also have, you know, like a business on the side. But we do
Side
have,
hustle.
I would think yes, side hustle. But you know, so there's a difference between the side hustle and then those that are actually fully entrepreneurs. And I would say maybe we have about 30% or so of them that are fully entrepreneurs.
Well, let me take the last one from Dr. Nwegbuzie. Is this issue of balance? This program is for all girls, you know, the female gender, so to speak. That challenge of balance is, how significant is it, and how easy or not is it to pass on that conversation about the balance of work, life, family, profession, and all of that to these young ladies?
So while the lead camp is for ladies, the VIMP program was actually for both men and women. So the way we had, I'm not sure if we had more boys on the VIMP program. I think we had more men than girls.
Trust men.
So we had more boys. So the point is, there is balance in that, but it's important that everybody understands that we're different and complementary. So we don't gain when it's an all male affair or all female affair. We need each other because we think differently. And when we put the perspectives together, we get better outcomes. A good example is what we see in Rwanda. I think Rwanda is the only country in the world where they have a 64% female representation in parliament. And when you go there, I've been there like 6 or 7 times, it's absolutely amazing. You know, it's absolutely amazing. It's very clean, it works, okay? The big hotels that we don't have in Nigeria are there, you know, and it's continuously a destination for even Nigerians for their weddings.
Well, very, very interesting. I was actually asking about work-life balance, but this balance is also good. Thank you very much for that.
But I'm going there. So the first is the gender balance. And then when it comes to work-life balance, okay, I think that we have a lot to learn from other countries where we know, for example, that in the US, the wealthy spend 80% of their income on rehab for their kids. I was opportune to teach at Yale School of Management in the US in 2019, and it was the same problem because Yale is an Ivy League school, rich kids are there, and so there was a huge drug problem because that's where the people who can buy the drugs are. So if you don't spend time talking to you spend time with your children and helping them understand the do's and don'ts and why not, then you pay the price by paying for rehab.
That's strong enough, Doctor.
Exactly.
But there are so many issues that one would have wanted to raise with you, but we're completely out of time at this moment. We have to thank you very much for your participation today on this program. Folusho Badamosi is Executive Director, Junior Achievement Nigeria, as well as Dr. Henrietta Nwegbuzie, who is Director, MBA Programs, Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University. Thank you, ladies, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so it's the home stretch, right?
Yes, indeed.
So bring on your he. We'll be back. Well, after 3 clips or so, 3 video clips of the same artist, you probably have an idea who the he.
Yeah, so he's a he. Who he's a he is.
All right, so Mike Abdul joins us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
so much. I need to expose you here.
Okay.
We've been trying to get this this old man. How many weeks now?
I don't see no gray on him.
Yeah,
So he's a young man, Oh, die.
I didn't say anything.
Amazing.
So thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Mike is a songwriter, singer, and music producer. I don't know why he didn't add music entrepreneur as well, because I know he is one. He's a member of the famed gospel music group Midnight Crew.
Yes, please.
But as an individual, he's enjoyed great reviews and recognition across borders. He's released a new song
Which you just heard?
Kodamida.
Yes, sir.
Someone was asking, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Don't say someone. Halera will answer. Because her Yoruba is not that deep.
I guess.
After us. She's a worry babe. Kodamida.
Yes, so Kodamida means he's been faithful. He has not left me to it.
He didn't create me well. He didn't create me good.
No,
Aha.
no.
There's also that.
Okay. Now
Well.
I see. Well, that's one thing with language.
It's with
you
language.
probably won't have
With
to
even
speak
English.
to that. You have to speak to that. Kodamida has two meanings.
Definitely. That was the meaning that I saw. And I was waiting to ask him, oh my God, what did he do that you didn't
what
like?
was missing?
Yes.
No. It's, well, I think it happens even in English language, you know, where you can have the same word, probably even have the
Different
same spelling,
meanings,
but different
yeah.
meanings. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing here. Our Kodamida here means he has not left me to it. Kodamida. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't leave me to it.
Okay.
He has been faithful. You know, he's been there for me. That's what our Kodamida means.
Okay, let's begin with the obvious.
yes.
Many people will be wondering, wait, we seem to see more of Mike Abdul than Midnight Crew.
Okay.
And I know that there have been conversations, successful conversations. So
Yes.
let's begin from there.
All right, beautiful. Well, Midnight Crew is Midnight Crew. Midnight Crew is still here. I mean, I wouldn't play an Igwe song and say it's by Patricia King. It's still by Midnight Crew. Midnight Crew is an entity, it's a legal entity. We worked, you know. And, you know, but as you grow older, you seem to grow apart because you have individual concerns, which becomes more pressing, you know, especially in the area of marriage. You have to attend to family and all that, you know, basically. We have some of us not based in Nigeria any longer, you know, they're in the UK, you know,
So how
making
can
sure
you say
family
that
works.
there is still Midnight Crew when some are now in diaspora?
Once we wake up tomorrow and decide that we're putting something together, that's it. It's Midnight Crew.
Of course, I mean, technology makes that possible.
That's
You can
it.
be anywhere in the world and
Yes,
still
exactly.
make music together.
Yes, please.
Well, you're
Great.
going to also speak to something that I know that with me you will come up with. And that is the fact that, you know, hitherto, 80s, 90s, Fuji was alien to gospel. And gospel was alien to Fuji.
Amazing.
So, how did you go to hell to bring...
Oh my word.
Well,
Fuji
in a manner
was
of speaking.
considered to be like village kind of music.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
kind of. Okay, first of all, for me, it's a genre of music, and it's a beautiful one. It's one that has entered into our culture, you know. And when I mean culture, I'm not even saying whether you're Yoruba, you're Igbo. It has entered into us as people. Fuji has become like part of us. That kind of thing. So, and whatever I do as a gospel artist, my idea is to reach out to people, and I think I'd like to reach out to them in a culture they understand, a culture they have imbibed, they love. You know. Now, also speaking about Fuji, I want to say this, sir. You know, worship, church worship. You know, the culture came from people who brought the gospel to us. They brought the gospel to us. They also brought it with their culture. They taught us, oh, this is the way we sing. You raise your hands and do this. This is how we do it here. You know, on the flip side, I'm thinking that if the gospel came from us to them, Fuji would have been their praise worship. Apala would have been their...
It could have been High Life.
You know,
It could have been Afrobeat.
it could have been all of that.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So there's always that divide. But eventually, you cannot reach.
I wonder
the
where you'd
people.
have put the music of Damaraya Joss.
First of all, what do you call his kind of music?
I do not have a name for it, but I think it's.
I think Oscars
it's
would. The
peculiar.
Oscars would. They would probably call it world music or something.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, it's really peculiar. It's different. I think that you cannot reach a people without trying to reach them in their culture. If you are able to reach them in their culture, yes, you'll get to them.
And I've also seen that Nigerian music generally, I can't just pin you to to gospel, Mike? I mean, come on.
I feel.
Nigerian music has become quite popular, globally, in the regard of what you said.
So true.
One of the days I was having a conversation with my colleague here, Alera, and she was like, wait a minute. So you mean gospel music is now like party music? Is it kind of now, some would say, isn't that a corruption of gospel music?
I wouldn't accept. I think it's even good for us. It is good that people have now decided that at my parties, I want to hear more about God in my party, right? I've gone to programs, I've been to events where the people who are supplying entertainment don't care whether there are children there. They say all sort of things, and their parents are laughing. You understand what I'm saying? And you see, gradually, what you hear, you become. Okay? So if we now have a lot of entertainers making it more gospel, you understand what I'm saying? Or cleaner music, that kind of thing. I think it's good move in the right direction. I think it's a good thing. Eventually, music goes a long way to influence what society looks like.
This is not the first time we're talking about this, that gospel music is becoming more danceable. So we had an artist here, gospel artist, and he played his music and we thought, is that gospel music? That is a boogie kind of music. So what has informed more gospel artists making their music more danceable so that you can actually play their songs at parties?
Oh, yeah. I believe very strongly that if what you have cannot influence people, you may not go far. There's no point, right? So if the gospel artist thinks, let me start influencing what people dance to, I think that's good. Eventually, the beats don't stay forever. The words stay forever. I think it's a good move.
I don't know if I will agree with you on that beat part, because some of us will still remember certain grooves. Inside Let Them Sing. What are you talking? Why are you looking at me like that?
But the words stay with you longer, for real.
Especially now, Mike, that most of the secular music you hear don't have any lyrics, so to say.
True.
You just, you hear all kinds of things and okay, so what is the meaning of this song? It's got no meaning. Just a mumbo jumbo of words, and you just like the beat, so you're dancing away.
Which speaks to the one issue that I wanted to raise after one of Alera's questions the other time, which is that of lyrics. I'm interested in music mentoring here. I can speak to you about that because not very many of you, at this level will be able to do that, to talk about mentoring lyricists who ought to know clean music, not necessarily Christian music.
Yes.
Clean music. Because, come on, let's decrypt the word gospel. Simply means good news.
For real.
So we can as well say that Heal the World by Michael Jackson is a gospel because it's clean music.
Yes,
it's talking about us doing the right thing.
Yes,
so talking about lyrics, who mentors or who should be mentoring lyricists? And not just about all those vulgar, lucid kinds of lyrics.
Well, interestingly, the artist wants to get across to the people. He's thinking about people, he's thinking about how to sell. And once society lets you know that this is what we want to hear, you'll find a lot of them doing what the people want to hear. So it comes honestly from us.
Who determines what the people want?
Amazing.
I mean, come on, Alera. Who determines it?
Well, I think
because you remember, Alera, we had this, guest who said, what's the name of this song? Is it Zanku? Zlatan.
Yes.
He talked about don't kill me or something. That was the meaning of Zanku.
Okay.
I was like, so who determines what people want?
What the people want.
So the rhythm becomes more important to him than the lyrics.
So true. It's the people.
Sometimes it's like they get a rhythm, they got no words to fit in, and they just put some
and it's a global thing. It happens everywhere. Seriously.
People are going to dance to the music anyway, that's all that matters to him.
Yes.
No, one of the things that I would want.
There's a particular song I have in mind.
Okay.
that just says from beginning to end, Alaji, 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 Alaji. And I'm wondering, well, is this music? But everyone danced to it when it was at its peak. It was played everywhere.
So true. Well, it's entertainment. People want to dance. See, we got to a point where people got so stressed. They don't want your music to be something they're trying to solve.
Bring me relax.
Please, can I relax?
Thank you. Thank you.
You don't want to go through stress.
Thank you.
Yes. That's what's up.
So I can speak to you intellectually about music, Mike, because I know what you can do and not very many of you. Some of the very prominent ones also have come to understand, the peculiarity of music. But you see, there is supposed to be a purpose for music. You've talked about one of those purposes, which is to just relax. There are songs that heal.
True.
There are songs that are therapeutic.
For real.
Do you think we are on the way there? Are we even thinking in that direction, or we're too poverty-stricken to be looking for stuff like that?
It's amazing. Well, there's a lot of power in the hand of the media, right? The organized media, so to speak. We have a lot of people on the ground who have great stuff, great music. We have poets in Nigeria, but they will never be heard because they don't get heard anyways,
Because it's not popular.
It's not popular. They don't get heard. The radio will not play them, no. The radio wants to play what they believe the people want to hear. And if a particular radio station is saying that, oh, we are classic, we're doing this, we're giving them classic music and all that, don't worry, they'll soon switch to the one that is non-classic. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody wants to sell. You want the advertisement to come to you. So that's what's up. That's just what's happening. So when I was younger, there used to be time belts, right? There's certain music you play in the morning. There's kind of music that is meant for the afternoon. In fact, when we started music, we observed the time belts. We said, oh, let's do this for the morning radio. Right? But that's not like that any
music
longer.
while you work.
I
remember that.
And all that has changed. Everything has mixed up.
Then
I mean, early in the morning, you hear
beats
strong music.
had its own kind of
Party
music.
music, very early in the morning now. That never used to happen.
Well,
Okay.
we have moved on
We have moved.
To where? That's the question.
to the abyss.
Speak to this as well. Now you go there, so I'm going to go there. When we were growing up,
Yes, sir.
music videos, you could watch certain, enjoy this movement of the music before it switches. These days, the longest frame of a music video is less than 1 second. What's going on, guys?
People, the attention lifespan has changed. It has reduced. We don't have time. We don't have time.
We don't have time. I like that. I like that.
Even on stage as an artist, you can play an intro for 15 minutes. Then, now, intro, we don't have intro again. You have to impress the people in the first 15 seconds. 15.
Yeah.
If you don't do that in first 15 seconds, we're gone.
You lost them.
You've lost them.
Yeah.
Well, it also speaks to something a little more challenging. The attention span you talked about, there was a research, I think about 2015 or so. 8 seconds, human attention span. 8 seconds. So maybe it's shorter now, I don't even know.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
Kodamida, that's
Yes,
your
sir.
latest.
Yes.
Good. He didn't leave me to it.
Benny.
He's faithful.
He is faithful.
What led to that song? What happened that led to it?
Amazing. It's actually a French story. We've been on something for quite, I think about 3 years. We had been chasing that thing. And this year, that thing came through. And once again, I was there for my friend. And my friend looked at me and said, "Thank you, Mike Abdul. Eshete Damida." So she said that to me. And I'm like, no. It is God that has been faithful. It's God that made sure that it worked. And immediately she said it, she thought she had thanked me. Me, I traveled I was writing a song already.
And then you now sampled the song. I caught that.
I called him, by the way.
And told him about the
I
song.
said, I'm sampling something. I said, oh, no, that's fine. I did it.
Because it's actually very, very fitting. It's actually from Larry Teriba's a song.
Yes. Exactly.
And, you know, that he now said, okay, that was a prayer. But this one is now a declaration.
Remember that you have done it. You know, I'm not praying to you, you have done it.
But that happens a lot in music these days.
Yes.
And one is that a way of sustaining our music history? Making sure that we don't forget the ones that reigned before, kind of bringing them back?
That's also a good explanation. Yes. But then sometimes also, you're not trying to be too intelligent, with your songs. You want to make sure that as much as possible, the people feel like this is something I know. This is something I should be part of. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that also came in there.
Do we have a music industry?
Well, we're trying. We have Joe. We have.
You sound like you're not sure.
We have Joe. We have.
No, but seriously speaking, Mike, knowing the challenges, the artist is, as you said earlier, busy trying to make enough impression to make enough money. But if there was a structured industry, would he be doing all he's doing himself? You are an artist, a music producer, and a music marketer, a music label owner.
Oh my God.
Should that be? if you have an industry
Structure.
Well, see, it's almost like everywhere already. It's happening in the US. All the big companies that ran music, almost all of them fell because the internet came in and solved the problem of whether there's structure or not. The internet came and bypassed everybody, that you don't need all this big structure any longer. So we can do it this way. I think
and we can do it ourselves.
Yes, and with the internet, honestly, things have become easier. It's so you really things have become structured by itself. Put it that way, and we don't have to.
But how does that help to solve the problem of copyright?
Of copyright, it's easier. It's easier now. Once you have. There are the popular aggregators there, like CD Baby. Once you give it to CD Baby, just one CD Baby, right? Now, CD Baby distributes your song to over 90 other platforms. You don't have to knock the doors of those platforms any longer. CD Baby does that for you. In fact, you can see the data. You can see everything by yourself. Just know what to do. I think basically that's it.
Okay. I'm told that you have to sing us out. We'll just be thinking about that while you're asking that.
Okay, just while you're thinking about that, how do you feel that Nigerian music is now like music that you can listen to almost anywhere in the world? How does that make you feel?
It feels good. It's great. It's fantastic. Big thanks once again to the internet. You don't have to wait. You don't have to fly to get your music across. It has become so easy. I was in London, and then some of the big malls would play Burna Boy. I'm like, this mall. How far?
Am I in Nigeria?
I have to come outside. How far? Some of the very big hotels, the Marriotts, you would hear Wizkid, you understand what I'm saying? And you're like, wow, this is happening.
My head is bursting.
It's amazing. Even
She's
right
very
now,
proud of Nigeria.
Oh
Trust
yes,
me.
and see, even the local UK artists is sounding like a Nigerian.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he wants to sing Afro.
Oh dear.
That's what's up.
Oh dear.
Well, Mike,
I think we'll just leave it there. Let them keep trying to copy.
Yeah.
well,
Thank you.
it's always fun, having a conversation with you, Mike.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thank you so much.
We can only wish you the best.
Thank you.
And let you know that you have a lot of work to do to bring up other artists to ensure that they stay in the straight and narrow. Whether they are doing inspirational, secular, or whatever. Mike Abdul is our artist of the week. I wonder what song you want to close with.
I really don't know, but no,
it's not time yet. It's not time yet. It's not time. Let us close first.
Okay.
Yeah?
After we close.
So thank you for being with us through today's sunrise. We'll be with you again with a fresh edition next week. I'm Alera Idu, wishing you a very happy week indeed.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. So, over to you.
Oya Moranuba, Yuri Waliwasa, Mobaleta, Mauricio, Moroke Modele, Adura mi bao, Otidum Faramo Babamima, Ajinde Ayo. Oh yeah, what you gonna do? I'm gonna do. I'm gonna chorus about okay. Life is beautiful, it's okay. Jesus lokore day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.